There are 3 Labour MSPs in the chamber today, and I can only assume that all of the others are back in their office with their heads in their hands, in shame about what they have heard today. Because farmers watching Richard Leonard will not be embracing the budget. They will not be embracing these changes, and they will not be embracing the support from Scottish Labour. They will be looking on in dismay at what the Scottish Labour Party and the UK Labour Party are doing to them. Because on the 30th of October, Labour delivered a budget of betrayal. Because farmers and people across Scotland and the United Kingdom had been promised a lot. What an incoming Labour government would do. We've already heard that Steve Reid, when he was the shadow rural affairs spokesman less than a year ago, said that Labour had no plans to change inheritance tax, including agricultural property relief. Less than a year later, it's in the budget, and it is causing so much angst amongst our farmers and crofters. But it wasn't just Steve Reid. Sir Keir Starmer, now Prime Minister, I'll come to Rhoda Grant in a moment, I will give way in a moment. Now the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, said this to the NFU. He said, "I know what losing a farm means. Losing a farm is not like losing any other business. You can't come back." Well, farmers watched that speech and believed and trusted in the leader of the Labour Party that he understood what they were going through and what they face as custodians of the countryside. He lied to farmers and crofters across Scotland and the UK, and Labour should pay the price for that. But I will briefly give way to Rhoda Grant.
Rhoda Grant.
Can I ask Douglas Ross how he would then fill the £22 billion black hole left by the UK government?
I'm very happy to come on to that, because this is the amendment we get from Labour today. Not apologising to what they are doing to farmers, not saying sorry for lying and misleading the countryside. They say, look at what the Tory party did and the £22 billion black hole. Well then, to answer Rhoda Grant, I'll go to the OBR document that was published on the same day of the budget that said not only could they not substantiate the £22 billion black hole, they couldn't even substantiate the £9.5 billion that Rachel Reeves was speaking about. So I will take no lectures from Rhoda Grant, someone who I had previously respected, who has represented the same region as me for some time. But I have to say it was one of the most appalling speeches I have ever listened to in this Parliament. And I have to say, her response to Finlay Carson, speaking on behalf of a constituent suffering from cancer, was quite frankly disgusting. To say that that gentleman should get his affairs in order and not worry about the implications of these Labour policies is shameful, and something I hope Rhoda Grant will reflect on and regret. And I want to quote briefly from a farmer, Jennifer Struthers, who's writing in the Scottish Farmer this week, and she's written to her own Labour MP, and she's encouraging others to do the same. And in her letter, Jennifer says this: "Farmers do not view themselves as owners of the land, but merely custodians for the next generation. They invest in their farms to pass on a business in a better condition for the future." And she ends her letter by saying, "I hope common sense can prevail to overturn this ridiculous tax on the food producers of our country." I wholeheartedly agree with Jennifer and so many other farmers that are saying the same. We need a U-turn from the UK Labour government. And finally, the Scottish Farmer's front page this week is very clear. Fight for our future. Well, that's what the Scottish Conservatives are doing today, fighting for the future of our farmers, for our crofters and our future farmers and crofters. And tonight, the Scottish Parliament can add its voice to that, unite behind the motion from Tim Eagle, the amendment from the SNP Cabinet Secretary, and send the strongest possible message to this Labour government. They need to listen to Scottish farmers, the countryside here in Scotland and across the UK, and U-turn on this dangerous policy.